Hello, it's Mr. Thompson here, and I'm going to talk you through what is sometimes known as changing the subject, and sometimes it's known as rearranging formulae. Either way, it's grade D to C at GCSE, or level 6 to 7 at Key Stage 3. So in these types of questions, you will always be asked to make X the subject. And all that means is that you want to rearrange the formula so that the subject is on its own, and we want, in this case, if we're making X the subject, we'd need to rearrange the formula that would have an X in it to get X equals something. If this said make Q, for example, the subject, then we would have to rearrange it to get Q equals. It's as simple as that to start with. Now, in order to solve these types of questions, what I would like you to think about is I would like you, when it says make X the subject, this means we want X equals. So we're going to have X, we're going to pretend X is a princess. And I'll come to what I mean exactly in a second. So if X is our princess, this is Princess X. Now Princess X has had a sequence of spells done on her. And those spells have been done in this order using BIDMAS. So the first spell that would have been done is any spell that put in brackets. Next spell, any indices, any powers. Division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. And it is our job to reverse the spells that have been cast on poor old Princess X. Now, at the minute, that might not make a lot of sense to you. So what we'll do is we'll go through an example. So starting with this example here, we want to make X the subject of the formula, which of course means that we want eventually X equals something, and we've got to figure out what that something is. Okay, now this won't be a value, all we are doing is rearranging the formula. So what we need to do is first we need to identify our poor old Princess X. This is our poor old Princess X, and the spell that has been done on it is that we have multiplied it by 4. We want X on its own on one side of the formula. So we're given Y equals 4X. So the spells will have been cast in this order, going, that's the first spell, all the way down to the last spell. So in order to successfully undo these spells, we need to work back the way to reverse all of the spells. So looking at this one here, we've got Y equals 4x, so we are just looking at the side that has the princess on it. This is our princess, I should have written that. Okay, so starting at the bottom, has there been any subtraction here? There's not been any subtraction, so we can move on to the next one. There has been no addition either. Moving up to the next one, we have had a multiplication. 4 times x means that we have multiplied x by 4. So we want to undo that multiplication. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo that multiplication by doing the opposite of it, which is divided by 4. Remember, of course, that whatever we do to one side of an equation or a formula, we need to do to the other. So now I'm going to update this. We've got y, on this side I've got y divided by 4. That's what this line means. You've seen it in a fraction before. That means divided by. Y divided by 4. So we've dealt with the left hand side of the equation. Now we need to deal with the right hand side of the equation. 4x here divided by 4 just leaves me with x. So now we've kind of freed the princess from all of its spells, and x is on its own, just as it was at the start, before the spells were cast. We did want it as x equals. Now this is the same. Y divided by 4, y over 4 equals x is exactly the same as if we were to just switch it around. So what I'm going to do, I mean this is correct, but just to tidy things up a little bit, I'm just going to switch this around. So x is equal to y divided by 4. Let's try one more slightly more difficult example. Okay, so in this example we want to make x the subject of the formula, which of course means we want to get x equals something right at the bottom. So we've got y equals 7x plus 2. So our poor princess is here. This is our princess right here. and it's had a she's had a sequence of spells done on her in this order. So we want to reverse those spells by, remember, we're just looking at the side, that has the princess on it. So what we want to do is we want to start at the bottom. Has there been any subtraction on this side? There's been no subtraction, so we can move on to the second to last spell that would have been done. Has there been any addition here? There has been an addition, this +2. So we want to undo that spell by doing the opposite of +2, which is take away 2. Of course, we have to do the same to both sides of the equation. So on the left hand side, we're going to be left with y take away 2. And on the right hand side, 7x plus 2 take away 2 is simply 7x. Now the princess isn't quite free yet. We still need to undo one more spell. So remember, we're only looking at the side with the princess on it. So starting from the bottom again, subtraction. There's been no subtraction here. Any addition? No addition. Any multiplication? There has been a multiplication here, just the same as the previous example, in that 7x means 7 times x, or x times 7. So what we want to do is we want to undo that spell by doing the opposite of timesing by 7, which is divide by 7. So if I divide both sides by 7, now this is the important bit here. Y take away 2 is what we had on the left hand side. Now if you like, we have to divide both sides by 7. So it's not just y divided by 7 take away 2. We have to do the division sign under everything on the left that is so far on the left hand side of the equation. So everything on this side, y take away 2, all divided by 7 is equal to, dealt with the left hand side now, so it's 7x divided by 7 leaves me simply with x. Remember, I like to tidy it up a bit, so I would write this underneath, but I've run out of room. So x is equal to y take away 2 all divided by 7. Okay, I'll give you a chance to try some questions. Okay, so I've left the sequence of spells up here, the BIDMAS. I'd like you to make x the subject of each of these formulae one at a time. So have a go at these questions, pause the video, and I'll give you the answers shortly. Okay, so hopefully you've had a go at those. I'm just going to put the answers up now. Okay, so the answers to those questions are there now. If you've got those right and you're confident with those, let's go on to another example. If not, it might be a good idea for you to go back and have a look at how to do those again earlier in the video. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 more examples, and then the really difficult stuff I will do on a separate video. But for this example here, we're being asked to make x the subject of the formula, this formula here. Y equals x squared. So the spells have been done in this order as always, and we need to reverse the way. Now if you have a look, this squared here is actually what we refer to as an indice. It's a power, just the same as x to the power of 4. The 4 here is the power, it's the index. Index is just singular of indices. Okay, so what we need to do, start at the bottom, subtraction here, only the side with the princess on it, x is our princess, no subtraction, no addition, no multiplication, no division, there is a power. It's the index, sorry. So, if you remember from previous work, the opposite of squaring a number, we want to undo that spell. And the way we undo that spell is to take the square root. That's how we'd undo that. So we need to undo the square root of both sides. So that actually comes out as the square root of y equals x, the square root of x squared. The square root of x squared is simply x. So the square root of y is x. Remember to tidy it up a little bit by switching it around. Y equals the square root of x. That is our answer. Try one more example. It's a little bit more complicated, and then I'll give you some questions to finish. So the final example I'm asking you to do is to make x the subject of this formula here. Y equals x squared plus 13. So this is the side with our princess on it, this one over here. So this is the side we're going to start with. We want to have a look and see, has there been any subtraction here? There's been no subtraction, so we move up. There has been an addition, this plus 13, and that's what we want to get rid of first. That's the spell we want to undo first. So I'm going to take away, do the opposite of plus 13. I need to take away 13 from both sides, remember. So that leaves me on the left hand side with y take away 13, and that is equal to, on the right hand side we are just left with x squared. Okay, now remember in the previous example, the next thing we do, we're just looking at the side with the x squared on it, just our princess, working our way up. The only thing remaining is an index, so we want to undo squared, and we do that, remember, by taking the square root. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides. You need to be careful here. So we want to take the square root of everything that is currently on this side. So that square root sign needs to stretch all the way across y take away 13. It is not just the square root of y, then take away 13 from that answer. It's the square root of everything on that side. And that is equal to the square root of x squared, which is an x squared. This here is just the same, the square root of x squared is just the same as x. So flip it around, keep it tidy. X equals the square root. Remember that square root sign has to go across everything there. So our answer here is just x equals the square root of y take away 13, the square root of all of that. If you like, you could actually put that in brackets. Okay, so I'm going to give you some questions to try just to finish off. Okay, so just to finish, have a go at those two questions there. Pause the video and have a go. So hopefully you've had a go at those. I'm just going to put the answers up now, and hopefully those are the answers you got for those two questions. This topic can actually get quite complicated, so as I say, I will do a second video which just breaks it up a little bit. So if you're confident with everything I've done in this video, have a look at the next one. Until next time though, thank you very much, and I'll see you later.